Urban Meyer is our next name. Meyer was handed a 3-game suspension for his handling of domestic assault allegations against the former coach. After taking criticism for his words in the original press conference last week, Urban clarified, saying, quote, "I sincerely apologize to Courtney Smith and her children for what they have gone through," end quote. What do you make of the suspension and everything that we missed while we were gone?
Okay, so when this first happened and they decided to put together the committee, I was like, it looks like they put together a legitimate committee. There would be a legitimate inquiry. What I misunderstood, though, was that the woman who was running this inquiry was the same woman who ran the inquiry into, I believe, Ezekiel Elliott for the NFL. Now, what the NFL has largely been charged with by a lot of people is, are you deciding your answers and then putting together investigations that get you to the answer? It is very fair to ask that question here about Ohio State, because that report could have been used to fire somebody if they wanted to fire someone. And it seems pretty clear they didn't really want to fire anybody.
The larger context is that a lot of bad stuff has been circling and invading and been created by the Ohio State Athletics Department. There is the Ohio State wrestlers story, hundreds of wrestlers allegedly. That's in the mix. And now you have a university that is asking itself, do we want to keep pulling on this thread? Because it's not just Urban Meyer, it's also Gene Smith, who got relatively away scot-free, the athletic director. And it seemed to be the basic idea that if we are to pursue firing Urban Meyer and or Gene Smith, we would be worse off as a university as opposed to what we're gonna do, which is not do that. Like, the controversy they are betting, it seems, is just not going to be something that undermines the football program and thus the university.
Right, but here's the thing, though. Even if they weren't going to be worse off by letting him go, let's say that's the case.
Yeah.
The unspoken part of this, to me, that is hugely complicating and is a major issue, I would argue, across college football, are these exorbitant buyouts for the high level of coaching. Urban Meyer's buyout is at $38 million. So if they could not go through and explicitly find a reason to fire him for cause, they were going to have to go past the hat among people who don't really want to fire him in the first place and try to come up with $38 million to get him out of there. That was never going to happen. As a result, they then have to come up with, how do we find a way to keep him? And they struggled to find a way to keep him, but they did.
And someone needs to help that man. I mean, someone did ultimately help him, but like the first attempt, like,
yeah, he's bad.
Have you ever seen any of these press conferences before?
Here's the thing. He has no credibility at this point, and what we're finding out is that credibility doesn't matter anymore. Because I mean, that's the ultimate measure.